Welcome to the May edition of the Word of Life, presented by Focolare Media. My name is Nick Cianfrani, and I'll be your host. I'm also very glad that you could join us today. In today's episode, Giampiero Sciutto shares a moving poem and two insightful stories inspired by this month's Word of Life. Geri Guadagno shares a heartfelt story about Berenice, who's facing stage 4 breast cancer. And Gianluca from Toronto shares his inspiring experience of serving a community in Brazil during a mission trip. This month, the scripture passage is taken from John chapter 21, verse 17. Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Before we move on to the stories, I'd like to invite Tom Rowley to share a brief introduction.
In the final chapter of John's Gospel, a tender and powerful exchange between Jesus and Peter invites us into a moment of deep honesty, healing, and love. As Peter confronts his past and reaffirms his devotion, we too are asked that same question: do you love me? This month's Word of Life invites us to respond from the heart, to trust God's mercy, and to renew our friendship with the one who knows us completely and loves us unconditionally.
Our first guest, Giampiero Sciutto, is a consecrated member of the Focolare movement, currently residing in Los Angeles, California. A physicist and educator, he teaches at a Catholic high school in Santa Monica. Welcome, Giampi. It's a real joy to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you, Nick.
I'd love to take this opportunity to have you share your recent poem, as well as your experiences related to this month's Word of Life. Now we'd love for you to share an excerpt with us.
Where is he? Where am I? Lost, ashamed. No road forward. Without him, remorse clings like crime, stiff as irony slime choking my chest. Alone, I reek regret. Sin slither past me like quickens eels through broken nets. So I stay by the fire. This heat is not enough. No psalm, no prayer comes. My mind caves in. And then a hand, a voice. Don't make me turn, don't make me speak. My tongue betrays me, my accent gives me away. If I speak, I unravel. Oh God, that servant saw me. In the garden, I was there as she was. They know I stammer, I flee, coward, spineless craven. No name for that, for what I am.
Wonderful. It's truly beautiful. The full poem is available on YouTube at the following link. Now, Giampi, I'd love to invite you to share some moments from your life that connect with this month's Word of Life.
I was working on a youth program, and we were helping people in the Cameroons, with activities that had to do with improving a little bit their conditions. So at one point, an engineer went there, built an aqueduct so they could have current running water, and then some people built a hospital. So we were contributing as a group, my group of youth, were contributing to make sure that they have a wing available for people that were suffering from malaria, the CC fly, and AIDS also. So we wanted to collect some funds. So we were, one Christmas we went to the major train station in the city and tried to collect these funds. So we had leaflets, we were showing a few slides, we had a stand right in the middle of the hustle and bustle of people going and catching the train. So I spotted a man, I approached him, gave him a flyer. I knew he was, sort of like standoffish, because probably he realized, that our stand looked like too much churchy, and he was obviously from a different persuasion. So I still approached him. He gave me the flyer, and he said, "But tell me, really, what are you doing there in Africa? You know, it's one of those mission. What are you converting people?" And you know, I felt like compelled to tell him that the story was deeper than that. There was something more. So I told him, well, actually, it's not a handout. We try to help them so that they can help themselves. So we try to train maybe some new people that will become doctors and nurses in the future. He said, "Say no more. Here is," and he gave me the equivalent to $20 because he understood, you know, where I was coming from. So it was something that gave me that idea, you know, that when you have the right intention, people even from different background might still appreciate and accept you for who you are, face value. And then going forward a few years, I found myself in Chicago. We had a retreat for youth. There were like teenagers as well as young adults, and we were concluding this spiritual retreat. Chicago was very cold at that time. And the conclusion, sort of like the coronation of the retreat, was to go and visit the homeless where they're at. We knew that they congregated around the train station, so we knew the spot. Some people came in the avant-garde and tried to give away already some clothing, you know, warm clothing, scarves and mostly gloves, and also warm thick jacket and blankets. But the food, I was in charge of the food with Marcia, and we looked at each other. We found that there was a bag of frozen meatballs. And so to thaw the meatballs will take you know, several hours. And we had probably 45 minutes tops to fix a spaghetti and meatball lunch for the homeless. So we struggle, and we are in touch with the people already there, giving out clothes, said, "When are you coming? We have homeless." So finally, 2.5 hours later, we walk out with the van, and we had these pots, you know, the pasta was still, you know, fuming, for still boiling. They came back because we came with a big pot of spaghetti meatballs pasta, and they enjoyed it. It was really another sign, you know, that Jesus said, "Do you love me? But more, do you trust me? I can do this. You know, you just need to trust me." So that was a great opportunity for me to, you know, discover that aspect of that nuance of the word of life.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for enriching us with both your poem and your experiences. Before introducing our next guest, I'd like to invite you to consider donating to Focolare Media. It will help us continue producing inspiring podcasts. Visit our website, focolaremedia.com/donate. Thank you in advance for your support. Welcome, Geri. It is a great joy to have you on our podcast today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Nick. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, tell us where you're at and a little bit about yourself, Geri.
Okay, I live in the Texas Hill Country, which is just a little bit north of San Antonio. And I live here with my family. I'm a writer, and I've sometimes done voice work for the Focolare. I actually met the movement in 2009 through a Word of Life group in my parish. And so I've been around a little while.
That's wonderful. And I've had the great pleasure of seeing you down in Texas. But now I'd like to ask you to share your experience with us. So I'll hand the microphone over to you.
A few months ago, I heard from a friend of mine that another friend was asking for video messages that could be sent to a woman named Berenice. She was suffering from stage 4 cancer, and she also had a disabled son. And I heard that Berenice was wondering if treatment would be worth it. That day was kind of a busy one for me, but every time I thought about Berenice, a little voice in my head said, "Send her a message." And finally, it was evening, and I thought about her again. And I wondered if I could manage to record and send a video. And that little voice kept encouraging me, saying, try. You've had the experience. And if you share it, you might help her. So in June 2023, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 4, and it was rather serious. A few days after giving me the diagnosis, my oncologist went on vacation. But when I started treatment, his nurse told me that he actually called a few times while he was on vacation to make sure that I was going to get treatment. And she said, he never calls from his vacation. So it was kind of a serious situation. During the treatment process, I prayed a lot, and I had a lot of people praying for me too. Mainly, I asked God to let me live so that I could be here for my family. My in-laws and my biological mother live close to us. They're elderly and they have health problems. I'm an only child, and my husband only has his sister who lives across the country, which means that he and I do a lot to help our parents. So I had chemotherapy, but it didn't get all of the cancer. And in January 2024, my stem cells were collected and treated in order to give me a transplant. The stem cell transplant put me into remission, and I've been in remission now for a little over a year. And I'm so grateful to God and to everyone who supported me through all of their prayers, visits, messages, and other help. And when I thought about all of that, I knew I had to try sending a video to Berenice to encourage her and give her hope. So I asked the Holy Spirit to help me say the right things. And then I hit record on my phone. My message was only about a minute long, and I didn't know how good it really was, but I sent it to my friend. And then I felt very happy and very much at peace. And later, my friend shared the entire video that was made. And I didn't understand everything that was said because some messages were in Spanish. But I think I may have been the only one to share a personal experience of being treated for cancer. And all of the messages were very beautiful. And I was very glad to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that. And thank you for sharing your beautiful experience with us, Geri.
You're welcome. Glad to do it.
And we continue to pray for you and for Bernice, really.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Nick. It's Gianluca. I work in the Greater Toronto area. I'm from Toronto, born and raised. I've known Nick for about 15 years. How have you been, Nick?
Good. Gianluca, thank you for joining us. We're honored that you could join our podcast. We go back a long way. You're right. And back in the days in Toronto, and we've lived many adventures together. Also with your wonderful family. It's been great. But I wanted to ask you in particular, first of all, maybe you can just say something about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm 27 years old. I went to school for engineering, civil engineering, and I've just been working in construction management for about 4 to 5 years now. Yeah, my time in Brazil. My mom asked me if I was interested in going to a trip to Brazil for some charity work. It was through the Consolata missionaries. Being told like I can have the opportunity to go to Brazil and do something great for, charity was something that was pretty appealing to me. Also, they did say they would pay for me, so that was nice. And out to experience the world. I had also never traveled alone before. So when the opportunity came up to go with a group of 5 other adults. I said, why not? I'll give it a shot.
Tell us a little bit about like what happened there. What did you do? What kind of work did you do there?
Yeah, so just to give a little context, around that period of 2014, there was a massive drought in the area of Brazil that I went to. It was called Salvador de Bahia. And we went there with the intention of, first of all, prior to the trip, there was a lot of planning and there was a lot of fundraising that we did. The biggest thing that was going on there was we were drilling wells. Actually, there was a company that was drilling wells. Like I said, there was a big drought. So since there wasn't a lot of rainwater that would come and irrigate the plants, they had to drill for wells, and that was their main source of water. So we did a lot of fundraising because it's not cheap to drill these wells. So a lot of the fundraising was for that. And because of the big drought, there was a shortage of pulp. So a lot of fruit couldn't grow because of the drought. And so our intention was with the Consolata missionaries, we were actually staying in an old abandoned community center in a remote area. And so they kind of renovated it, vamped it up a little bit. And there was a little dump, like an old dump site that was close to this community center. And so we cleared the dump site of all the debris, the trash, and we planted over 750 fruit trees with the intention of, hopefully getting some mangoes, some oranges, some other fruits there that can really help out with the shortage of pulp. We also taught ESL to elementary school students to try to give them a better, better opportunity, teach them another language. So we were teaching, English to these students, planting fruit trees. We oversaw drilling of a few wells. We also painted a church in one of the nearby villages. And yeah, it was just overall like a very community based, like charity work, really integrating with the community. When we were painting the church, there were a few kids that would just play soccer in the courtyard, like very simply just brought a soccer ball. Like most of them didn't even have shoes, not even a shirt, just shorts, and they would just show up and kick a ball around. And so like I was able to really integrate with them, play with them, and to a certain extent you almost feel like you have too much, like even having a shirt on your back and wearing shoes. So I even took my shoes off to kind of be one with them, and you just to kind of be on like a similar level as them, make yourself just like them and integrate with them. So it was a really nice experience.
Is there anything that you would tell our listeners, something that maybe stuck to you in a particular way about that experience?
It was the overall sense of community that I got from being there, and how welcoming they were and how loving, and they just fully embraced, a complete stranger. I mean, I was there for about 3 weeks, so you get to know some of these kids or these younger adults, but it was the overall sense of community that stuck out.
I want to thank you for taking the time to share that with all of us. I'm sure that it may inspire some of us to go on a mission trip, maybe to go somewhere, maybe not as far as Brazil, but, to even sometimes in our own neighborhoods, there's a need to, to paint houses to help people or whatever. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been great.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me, Nick.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you've been inspired by the wonderful stories shared. I look forward to being with you again next month. To listen to a reflection and a commentary on the Word of Life, log on to your favorite podcast platform and look for Word of Life Podcast by Focolare Media. There you'll be able to listen to previous episodes. I invite you to join me each month for new episodes. You can also read additional experiences in Living City magazine. If you have a story that you would like to share, please write to me at nick.chanfarani@focolaremedia.com. Bye for now, and God bless.